What's up, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sistas review. This was season 4, episode 14, entitled Money is King. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you know that it is always good. See you. You know what it is and what it always will be. And without further ado, if you want to like, share, subscribe, do that if you choose to. If not, just sit back and listen. And we're going to get right into this thing. Everybody got on my damn nerves this episode. Everybody got on my nerves. Everybody pushed a button. Everybody who popped up on my damn screen. So we open up with Karen and Aaron. Let me just say that ever since last week's episode, it was so many people, such an overwhelming number of people who felt like Karen was not going to tell the truth, that Karen was not going to be honest because she wants Zach so badly that she's not going to tell Aaron the truth. Well, just as I thought, she told Aaron the truth. She told Aaron that the baby could be his or it could be Zach's. Now, what I will say is that Karen's constant defensiveness and rejection towards Aaron being the father is crazy to me. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Karen was acting like a straight up ass in my book, talking about she'll get a ride back to the shop. I was like, girl, please. Carisha, please. Let this man drive your ass to work. You know, it was just like, she really worked my nerves this episode. And it's like, for me, I'm trying to process the fact that she was so shocked. And it just appears that Tyler is trying to make all these women look hella stupid, because it's like, Karen slept with 2 men 2 days apart. How could she not consider the possibility of Aaron being the father? That just doesn't make any type of sense to me. And she was rude. She didn't want to hear anything he had to say. She's trying to process it. It's a lot going on. And I'm just like, I'm not understanding. Only thing I can understand is the fact that she felt there was no possibility. Now you know there's a possibility. What are you mad at? The only thing you have to do is to tell Zach, you know, there's a possibility that the child is Aaron's as well, and you just don't know for sure. That's all you have to do. So yes, I know it will spark a conversation, it should, between her and Zach. But all that extra stuff, it was just team too much. So we get to Danny and Preston. So Preston calls Danny because he left some of his things at her house. And she was like, you know, what did you leave? And I think he said like some boots and some jeans or something like that. I said, you know what? Preston is so full of shit. I did the same thing to my ex many years ago. We had a huge argument. It was huge. And we broke up. And I missed him like crazy. God knows I did. So I called him because he left some contracts at my house. And I'm like, oh, he need these. Reason for me to get in touch with them. So I called him to let him know. And he was like, can you bring them to me? And I had a straight attitude. I was like, can't. I got plans. And so he was like, with who? And I said, that is no longer your concern. When in reality, I didn't have no damn plans. I just wanted him to tell me that he missed me and that he wanted to work things out. And even though that's how I felt at the time, I wasn't mature enough to make the first step. I was like, I'm not breaking. I'm not. We did end up getting back together, but it was like I waited until he was the one who, you know, made the initial step in trying to rectify what was going on with us. And this is what I feel like this is what I feel like Preston is doing. He's playing games. And even Danny could tell, like, in the tone and what he said, like, this is not even you speaking, this is Zach. So I was glad that she was up on game with that, even though she got on my damn nerves too. And so Danny calls Sabrina to get Zach's address. Now, initially, I gave Sabrina the benefit of the doubt. I honestly did not think that she was going to give Danny Zach's address. Now, let me just take a moment, because we know that later on in this season, supposedly, I try not to read too much or too far into things, but we know that supposedly Sabrina and Maurice are supposed to go to jail or something like that. I guess Tyler just going to throw the whole damn cast in jail this season. But or next season, I can't remember which one. But anyway, I'm like, Sabrina has done things to land her own self in jail. She has done several incriminating acts as a bank manager. And I'm like, the fact that you gave this man's personal information to Danny, she needs to be fired. Sabrina needs to be fired. Like, there is nothing cute about that. She just needs to be fired. She got on my damn nerves too. So she gave him the information. So we get to Fatima and Andy. Fatima doesn't want Andy. Damn, I can't hardly talk. She doesn't want Andy to tell Zach about her being in jail because she feels that Zach is going to do something crazy to Hayden. Andy believes that she owes Fatima and she's going to do whatever it takes to get her out of jail. I have several questions about this situation. Number one, we're not going to act like Fatima doesn't deserve to be in jail for what she did. I'm trying to understand why it's coming off as she's innocent. She doesn't deserve to be there. She needs to hurry up. And I'm not saying what she did has granted her to be in jail without bond. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, yes, her ass deserves to be locked up for what she did, for ruining someone's personal property, their car, breaking and entering, and destroying someone's house. Her ass deserves to be in jail. But to come off as just like, oh, you don't deserve to be here. And that's a lie. Now, on the other hand, Andy is a divorce attorney, a divorce lawyer. She's not criminal. So I'm trying to understand, how are you acting on the behalf of Fatima in this situation? Just certain things don't make sense to me, but this is Tyler Perry, so I'm not expecting much to make sense to me. So we get to Karen and Aaron again. They're in the car, and he was like, can I talk now? Because she didn't want him to say anything to her when they left the doctor's office. She was like, you got all your words out? Like, are you done? I was like, well, damn, Karen, you know what I'm saying? My God. So she apologizes to him, and you're like, I'm sorry I got you into this. I'm sorry I slept with you. I'm sorry. And I'm like, don't do that. And he said the same thing too. Like, don't do that. I'm sorry I got you in this situation. I'm sorry. Well, we're here, and this is what it is. And obviously he's not running away. He's not, putting himself in a position to not be present with this jacked up situation. The situation is what it is. So her apologizing for sleeping with him, I was like, that's really Karen. Anyway, so Aaron tells her that, that he's going to be there for her. He's not going anywhere. And he has made that known. I feel like, I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but I felt like a lot of the conversations that took place in this episode was like watching episodes of season 1, especially with Danny and Zach, but we'll get into that later. But I just felt like we were having repetitive conversations, even with Sabrina and Maurice, Karen and Aaron. I just felt like these are things that Andy and Fatima, especially like in season 2 with them, and it's just like, or season 3, I'm just like, I just feel like we're watching old episodes because these are like recycled dialogue. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like this episode. Like I really didn't. I was very bored. I was very bored and very underwhelmed watching this. So where was I at? Yeah, Karen and Aaron. So he was like, I'm gonna give you a space or whatever like that, but just know that I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I got you. And so when she gets into the salon, Pam lets her know that she had to reschedule. I think she said 4 of her clients. And so Karen was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just call them and apologize. And she was like, 2 of them seemed like they were really pissed or whatnot. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, you just got your clientele back. Like, literally just got your clientele back. I understand you needing to go to the hospital to make sure you're good. But at the same time, take care of your business. And it's like, the more I be seeing Karen doing stuff, it's like, baby girl is not a good businesswoman. There are just certain things I'm just like, I don't understand you. I don't understand that it's not great business practice. But anyway, so Pam was basically, telling her that she was worried about her. She was concerned. And she was like, no, you're not. You just nosy as hell. You just, like, she was really like going off on her. And don't get me wrong, Pam is nosy as hell. And I love to refer her as nosy ass Pam. That's my key phrase for her. But at the same time, I think that Pam has proven herself countless of times that she truly is a ride or die for Karen, that she really is someone who has been in her corner, who has had her back. The things that she did has not wanted Pam to say, Pam has not said. Now, I just feel like the way that Karen went off on her in this episode, it was very different than other episodes. That's just me. I felt like it was more cruel than before. And just like Pam was saying, like, she's tired of dealing with that. And I don't blame her. Like, I don't blame her at all. I don't. To me, Karen, if Pam is that bad, then fire her. You haven't done that, so you deal with what she gives. But I just feel like this episode, Karen's character, when it comes to her interaction with Pam, was just disrespectful to me. So Gary and Hayden, long story short, because I don't like neither one of them. Long story short, Gary wants Hayden to tell him when Robin returns. And I don't understand this situation at all with Gary and Hayden and trying to find out things about Robin. It just doesn't make sense. And so Hayden tells Gary that he got Fatima locked up. And he was like, does Zach know? Now, supposedly, Zach's supposed to be all crazy now. Oh my God, Zach gonna do something, anyway, Zach's supposed to gonna do something. That's why Fatima don't want him to know. Gary, oh my God, does Zach know? And anyway, so when Jake comes, as y'all can see, I was just so uninterested in this episode anyway. So when Jake comes and, him and Gary are talking, Gary tells him about the whole Fatima situation. And so, of course, he doesn't know that Jake and Zach are somewhat cool. And so Jake calls Zach when Gary leaves out of the office and, to let him know what he found out concerning Fatima, but he gets Zach's voicemail. So Zach doesn't know. So we get to Andy and Hayden. Long story short, with them too, everyone at the firm knows that Andy is sleeping with Robin. I mean, it's not like they're being discreet about anything. You know what I'm saying? They give very much sex that we boning vibes. They give very much we getting it in vibes. So I'm like, y'all not fooling nobody. I'm not surprised that everybody at the firm know that that Robin and Andy are getting it in. So Hayden makes it very clear that he wants to make Fatima's life miserable. Now, I'm all for Fatima reaping what she's sown, but just to have the motive to intentionally try to make someone's life a living hell, I'm just not with at all. Honestly, I feel like her and Hayden are even at this point. I mean, she got him beat up to the brink of just embarrassment and, just horribly beat him up. You know what I'm saying? She destroyed his car, his house, his father's ass. Well, you know what? Maybe I take that back. Maybe her and Hayden not even yet. Maybe Hayden still got some stuff to do, because I don't think he's done anything that tops the ashes, because I would have beat her ass. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not promoting men putting their hands on women. Let me say that, because I got people, oh, you want stop. But yeah, that's all that happened with that. They just went back and forth for a long time. Too much time about, oh, well, I'm trying to get her fired. Oh, you really think they'll do that? I don't see why not. It was just bickering back and forth. I'm so disappointed in Tyler with this episode. This episode was straight trash. Danny and Zach, I can honestly say I did not miss them on screen. I was like, I understand why I don't like them on screen. Tyler gives them entirely too much time. I don't find them really funny at all, to be perfectly honest. And so, but I did enjoy some of the things that happened in these scenes. So now this heifer really just walked into this man's house, and she tried to bring up, well, you would show up at my house unannounced. I'm like, yeah, but Zach ain't never just walked in your house now, and I can't stand that bastard. But I'm like, nah, he ain't never walked in your house like that. Like, you can't compare. Showing up unannounced, yes. Walking into your house, no. And so even with them, I was like, how many times are we going to have this conversation? Zach, are you doing anything illegal? You sure no cops and whatever, is looking for you? And it's just like, we've been having the same conversation. We had the same conversation in season 1. We had the same conversation in season 2. Can we do something different? Can we do something different? Now, one thing I think happened that I don't think Tyler really explored in this scene with Danny and Zach. I really believe that Danny was hurt by what Zach did as it pertains to Preston. Because she was like, you all in my business. And, he was like, Daniela, I know you like him. I know. And it's like, yeah, I do. However, I feel like you're overstepping. And Zach made a statement, like, can I give you advice as your friend, as your brother? I'm like, I think you're giving yourself a little bit too much, because I personally feel if you were a friend or a brother, then you wouldn't be giving her old work relationship advice. And she said something that I stated in my previous review. How the hell you talking about you've changed and you've become this better man, yet you are giving Preston advice on how you used to act and the things you used to do in your relationship with Karen? That's why I can never get on this Zach has changed so much, excuse my language, bullshit, because to me, I don't see that. I don't see that reflection. I see Zach is the same Zach, just has money. And so another thing too that stuck out to me when Danny and Zach were talking, and she was talking about the money and things of that nature, and he was like, yeah, it got me a better house and a better woman. And I mean this for him and Karen as well. I honestly feel like anytime you have to put down the person that you were with, when a lot of your stuff was to blame for the demise of the relationship, I always feel like it's still something there. You holding on to something, whether it's hurt, whether it's a smidgen of a possibility. And I know that it is reflected that Zach is so in love with Fatima. And I just feel like, but why do you have to bash Karen? I got a better house and a better woman. According to who? According to who? When he told Danny that him and Fatima has a positive and mature relationship, now I did laugh on that. Because I said, now that's laughable. I don't believe that. Yeah, she tells me everything. She's my woman. No, sir. She don't. She's in jail right now. You have no idea. She doesn't want to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And I found that interesting because Fatima is all about being in Zach's business. She wants to know everything regardless of how good or bad it is. And I'm like, but now when the show is on the other foot, you don't want him to know anything because you feel like he's going to do something to Hayden. And we're going to get to that. I get to Hayden and him in a minute. But I just felt like the conversation between Danny and Zach was entirely too long. And I love the fact when Danny started calling him out on the things that he did in his relationship with Karen. And he was like, oh, so I'm the only one who did something. And Zach does what he always does, which is deflect. I would have respected Zach more if he would have said, you know what, Danny, you're right. I did those things in my relationship with Karen. But you know what? I've grown, I've matured, and I've learned. And so in this relationship, I'm not going to do those same things. And we didn't get that. We got the same Zach that I expect to see. Childish, not taking responsibility, and deflecting. That's just me. Now, I know there are some people who listen to me who are Zach lovers, who, ride or die for Zach, and I think that it's perfectly fine. However, y'all already know I don't like him. Y'all already know I don't like him. However, be it so, it don't matter. However, I do feel like I understand where he's coming from in the sense of he did some really jacked up things in his relationship, but the way that he looks at it is like, yeah, I did some jacked up things, but she did some jacked up things too. The only thing I don't like about the way that he delivers it is that it normally comes off as he doesn't take responsibility for what he did, and he always highlights the things that Karen did. And I think it's a representation even in the fandom. Me and this young lady, we had I guess I can call it a debate or whatever the case may be. And she was talking about, Karen never uplifted Zach. She never spoke anything positive to him. She never apologized. And I said, baby girl, now this is one thing I will say. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some things that I do forget about this show because I have checked out. But there's some things I go back and watch it. I'm like, I got to refresh my memory before I say this. And I'm like, go back to season 1, the scene where Zach and Karen had sex in her car, and she apologized to Zach for how she was talking to him and how she was going to do a better job at delivering or communicating with him. And he basically took sole responsibility and said, he's the reason why things are the way that they are with them. She ain't got to apologize. It's his fault. And so I'm like, she has apologized. She has given him words of encouragement and words of wisdom. But if you're on the reciprocating end of the receiving end, of someone cheating on you, someone giving you STDs, these possible baby mamas popping up, it skews your view of the person that you're with. And I think for me as a woman, don't get me wrong, people don't have to like Karen at all. But at the same time, I look at it like, but don't dismiss the things that Zach did as well. Or people will say, yeah, he did that, but. And it's like, oh, no. Before we get to the but, let's really dissect what he did. Because I honestly feel like if Karen was a friend of ours, I'm not saying the whole person, the personality of Karen, but if we had a friend who was dating a man like Zach at the time, we would have been like, girl, you need to leave him alone. He ain't doing nothing for you but laying dick. That's it. You just getting a wet back out of that. Girl, move on. What is he doing for you? He's not helping you financially. He's not making a better life for you. And don't get me wrong. I am glad that Zach is not the don't have money Zach no more, because I was tired of seeing him like that. But on the other end, I feel like Zach need to be knocked down a peg or two, because I ain't gonna lie, when he said this is an island, you too can have it when you stop smoking weed and show up to work on time. I said, well, damn, Zach, you didn't have to go there, because in all actuality, sir, you didn't work hard for what you have. You got a tip, my dude. You got a damn tip. And that's the reason why you have what you have. It didn't come from hard work. It didn't come from showing up to work on time. Let's not do that. So I felt like he was very condescending when he was talking to Danny, but enough of them. She basically told him about, the baby, and she thinks it's his. I personally didn't like that, because I feel like if you were in there when these two people were having sex, then you have no room to tell him that this is your baby. And now what I would have liked to happen, or to have seen, like, have you talked to Karen since then, or what's y'all communication like? Because I feel like if Tyler is trying to create this narrative that Zach and Danny are like really good friends and they're like brother and sister, I just felt there would have been different questions that would have been asked. I just feel like it would have been certain questions that would have been asked in that situation, because we know from the viewer perspective is that after Karen told Zach that she was pregnant and that she, made an appointment, to go to the doctor, there has been no interaction between them since then. So, Sabrina and Maurice, who gives a damn that Calvin is mad about some flowers? Maurice was like, he was mad about that. I'm like, so what? Another thing, they have the same conversation, been having the same conversation since season 1. Well, Calvin was mad you didn't call him. Calvin was mad, girl. What you gonna do? Like, I'm sick of them. I'm so sick of them. I don't even want to spend no time on them. Next, Calvin, Maurice, and Q. This is so stupid. So supposedly Q fixed dinner. Maurice walks in. Him and Q are all chummy with one another. And, supposedly Q cooked Maurice's favorite dinner. I'm trying to understand how the hell does he know this? Because obviously him and Maurice have not had extensive conversations or intimate conversations. So how does he know? I said, Tyler, you work my damn nerves, man. But, okay, so he cooked his favorite dish. And, Calvin was all smiles and, and all of this stuff after hearing his story. I don't mind him staying here and all of this stuff. And so I think I said it last week, that I knew Tyler Perry was going to pull something like this out his ass as it pertains to Q, because Q comes off as a victim. Oh, woe me, why me? Now, the story that he gave, there is nothing remotely funny about that, because we know that happens all the time in our community and just across the board. So there is nothing funny about that. That is extremely sad that happened. But I'm listening to the story and I'm like, what does that have to do with you holding Maurice at gunpoint? What does that have to do with you robbing the bank? And I don't know, because I know people who, use their story as a way to manipulate people. They use their story as a way to use people and con people. And Maurice, I don't feel like Q is any different. We knew that he had a story. We knew there were things going on, but I'm just like, that does not give you the right nor the privilege to rob someone, to hold a gun at somebody. Like I wasn't feeling that. I didn't like that at all. Like I really didn't. And I'm like, sad that happened to the brother, it really is. But I'm just like, that doesn't give you a pass. Like, and then the fact that Calvin is like, yeah, I don't mind him staying here. Excuse me? I don't even understand that. Like, I don't even understand this whole situation. Like, it's so twisted to me. Like, that's all I can say. It's so twisted to me. Anyway, this was Sistas season 4, episode 14, entitled Money is King. I strongly dislike this episode. You guys can let me know what you thought about it. I'm so interested in knowing what you guys thought about this episode. Until next time, I will holler at y'all later.